Yesterday I learned two things that relate to happiness. So in this video I'm going to be talking about them fully. And if you feel like you've ever been trapped in a negative state before, in a state of sadness, then I believe this video is perfect for you. Because I've been talking about advice on happiness for such a long time, but now I've actually been able to implement it in an area that I've never thought about before. For example, yesterday, it was just a normal day. I went to school and everything, and when I came back, I was just having a normal day. The only problem is I wasn't doing the habits I was planning on doing for self-improvement, so that day I just didn't do it. But then I fell into a bad loop and went to do the habit. Like, you know what habit I'm talking about. I went to do the habit. And nobody wants to do that habit, but it happens to everyone. So I fell into that hole again and I did that habit. And then I got out, when I left, I was in this depressing, sad state. You know that state, like you just do that habit and then you're in that state. It just correlates like directly. So I was in that state and I was just pissed off. I wasn't able to do anything, and I had to go to a course. I couldn't even go to the gym. Like, it was just a mess. My mind was a mess, and I was like I wanted to swear at everything. So I was like, what am I supposed to do right now? I just took a break. I told myself, let me meditate for a bit. And I meditated before I went down to the Uber to go to my course. I just meditated for like 3 minutes. Didn't do anything. I felt like I was still mad, I was still pissed off, I was still everything. So I was like, what am I supposed to do now? Even though meditation does help, I just didn't do it the right way. So I was like, what am I supposed to do now? And then in a state, when you're in that state where you just want to find any sort of relief. Like, I wanted to feel pleased with myself in any sort of way. I was depressed with myself. I hated myself for falling into that habit, and I hated myself for not doing the good habits and falling into the bad ones. So I was like, let me just do one good habit so that I can feel like I did something today, so that I can feel like today was productive. So I just picked up my phone, I opened Kindle app. It's an app for reading, and I just chose one of the educational books that I have, and I started reading. It did get better. I did get better. But what's funny is, in that book, it talked about something that was perfect for the scenario I was currently feeling. I was currently in this sad emotional state, and I felt like I was wrong for doing that habit. I felt like I was wrong for everything about that habit. But then I opened the book, and it told you that you aren't, like, people make mistakes. And people know this. Everybody makes mistakes. But where the mass problem starts is when you start feeling like you're the mistake. Like, someone can make a mistake, but that doesn't make him a mistake. Get my point? I don't know how to explain it other than this, but you can make a mistake. That doesn't mean you are wrong. You can be bad at something. That doesn't mean you are bad. Get my point? So whenever people interpret a certain bad habit, a certain situation that they do this bad habit, they'll always feel like they are wrong. They'll always feel like they are bad, or that they are just a mistake for doing this mistake. It doesn't work that way. Like, it's funny how the effect of the action that you did is what actually harms you, not the action. Like, if you did the habit, sure, it harms you a bit, but what actually harms you is the way you perceive yourself after you do that habit. That's what actually affects you for the rest of your day. That's what can actually ruin your day or make your day better. If you decide to tell yourself, oh yeah, I did this habit, but I'm not gonna let it ruin the rest of my day, and you actually start, like, not just saying that and not believing it, you actually start believing that, and you actually start still believing that you're still improving on that habit, and you're still doing that bad habit less and less. When you look at that habit that way, you start improving. However, if you decide to do the habit and then look at it and tell yourself, I'm so pissed off I did this, you put yourself in that sad mental state that everybody puts himself in. That's where the actual harm, like, happens. It doesn't happen when you actually encounter and do that bad habit. It happens in the way you perceive yourself after doing that bad habit. That's what actually affects you and affects the rest of your day negatively. That's what puts you in that negative state, and that's what pisses you off. So I've realized that, like, one of the things that I realized yesterday is that you are not wrong for doing something wrong. Everybody is made to do something wrong. You can't want to do the right things, and you can't, like, people feel like they're wrong just because they're born with something that's wrong. For example, women in the 1940s would always want smaller breasts because that's what the aesthetic was back then. Women with smaller breasts. So women with big breasts would used to go to a plastic surgeon and tell him, I want smaller breasts. And then in the 2000s now, it's the exact opposite. Women want bigger breasts, so they go to the plastic surgeon and like, can I have bigger breasts? And they're insecure about that. They're like, I can only be full when this happens, or I can only be full when I have bigger breasts. That's wrong. You are who you are. Your faults, your mistakes, the things that are good about you, your good habits, your personality, that's who you are. You can change your personality, but you can't change you. You can try to do better on your faults, but you still can't change yourself. You can stop doing these faults or lessen them, but you'll still have other faults. You can't completely be perfect, because if you were completely perfect, if you were the perfect type of person you wanted to be, you wouldn't even be human. For you to literally be a human, you have to have faults. Whether those faults are mentally, physically, theoretically, I don't know, but you have to have faults to be considered human. If you don't have faults, you're not even a human anymore. That's why everybody says God is the only perfect being. It's because you wouldn't be human if you were perfect. You would literally be a god. So whenever you do a mistake, don't feel like, oh my god, the world is gonna end, I did this mistake, why the hell did I do it? And you keep beating yourself up about it for the rest of the day. Of course you don't tell yourself the world is gonna end, but you know that feeling. I don't know how to explain it to you, but you know it. After you encounter the bad habit, you put yourself in that negative state, and you let that ruin you for the rest of your damn day. You either scroll on YouTube to just get the pain away. I don't drink, but maybe some people do that. I don't know what you do. Maybe you eat your sorrow, you just keep eating food because you don't want to think about it. Maybe you play video games. You put yourself in that negative state because you decided to perceive that situation as something bad. You decided to perceive yourself as wrong. You did something wrong. That does not mean you are wrong. Keep that in your mind. Understand this fully. You did something wrong, but that does not mean that you are wrong. It means that you still did something wrong. That means that you're human, and you can still improve on those things. You only start improving when you start realizing your faults. When you start looking bad at your faults, you're only going to start improving and actually going to start achieve happiness when you start to look at your faults and tell yourself, how am I going to improve that? But when you look at your faults and tell yourself, I have this fault, I am wrong, that's not improving. That's just you criticizing yourself for something that you have, for being human. Like, could you imagine someone coming up to you and is like, I'm mad for being human. I'm just pissed off right now because I'm human. No, because it doesn't happen, but people do that indirectly. People keep getting mad at themselves for being human just because they're doing mistakes. People do mistakes. You're born to do mistakes because you can improve in those mistakes. In any religion, whenever you start any religion, whenever someone starts a religion, what is the first thing that they practice? It's looking at their sins. Because they know they have faults. Because they're humans, they're not gods. So of course they have mistakes, of course they have faults, but that does not mean that they are a mistake, that they are a fault. It just means that they have faults. And they have good things about them too. So you're looking at them both. You're looking at the faults, how can I improve them? And you're looking at the good things, how can I better them? So don't think to yourself that I am bad, I am wrong for doing this habit. You're not wrong, you're just human. That's what humans do. You'll only start improving when you start looking at yourself and telling yourself, okay, I'll set a goal for myself. And most likely, I'm not going to achieve that goal, but I am going to get better. If the goal is hard and it's actually a serious goal, most likely you're not going to achieve, but you're going to improve a ton to the point that you could achieve that goal. Like there's a chance that you're not going to achieve it, but the fact that you didn't achieve that goal does not mean that you are a lesser human being. It does not mean that you are a subhuman. It just means that you are human, because most humans have faults. But just know that you are going to improve a ton. You're not going to be perfect, because you know why I'm telling you you're not going to achieve the goal that you set? Because most people are perfectionists. They set goals that are perfect. They tell themselves, I'm going to be this perfect human being. I'm going to have the best family. I'm going to have the best physique. I'm going to be the most attractive. I'm going to have the best money, the best income. I'm going to do this. And let's be real now. You're going to achieve a lot of those things if you actually put your hard work into it. But there are some things that you aren't going to be able to achieve. And because people are perfectionists, they're going to be mad that they aren't able to achieve that small thing. That's gonna piss them off. That they came up short. If you're setting yourself perfectionist goals, you're not going to achieve them. You're expecting a fictional character to work in real life. That's not how it works. Set yourself a goal that's hard, but a goal that's achievable, not a perfect goal. You can't set yourself a perfect goal, because a perfect goal will never happen. What don't you understand about that? If you set yourself a perfect goal, you're not even human if you expect to achieve it. It doesn't work that way. You're literally human. How can you achieve perfectionism? It's even stupid to think about it. Like, if you've been watching this far, you've realized it. Yes, it's just stupid to think about it. Why are you going to be thinking or trying to be a perfectionist when you're literally human? You can't be perfection. We're all human here. So we have to work this together. We have to work out these problems together. We can't work them out alone, because most likely if you try to work out a problem like this alone, you're just going to be bumping into dead ends every single minute of your day. But if you have someone who's went through this problem before, someone who's going to be able to help you, or someone who's in your same ideal state, someone who has your same mentality, wants to improve on happiness and wants to take it seriously, anything like this will be possible. You will be able to achieve the things that you want. It still won't be perfect because you are still human. I'll keep saying this for the rest of my life. You can't be perfect because you're human. You're not a god. If you want to be perfect, you have to be a god, and you're not that. So you're going to do better. And trust me when I tell you, you're going to do way better when you have someone with you. Not just anyone, but a person who will actually help you, a person with your same mentality. That's why I created Social Media of Positivity, a place that I plan to fill with a ton of people, so that anyone who wants to achieve happiness, anyone who actually wants to take happiness seriously, because after seeing this video, I'm guessing that you thought about it a lot more now. You're thinking about happiness a lot more. You know people who are sad, you know people who are depressed, maybe even you know someone who's suicidal. You know something like this is not something to joke around about, not something that you can just join for fun. It'll actually something that will change some people's lives. So if you want to take this seriously, if you want to find a group of people who have your same mentality, who also want to stay positive, this community will be perfect for someone like you. I've made it for cheap. I think it's just like $20, and I think you'll fit in just right. So always remember to stay positive. The link to that community is in my bio, as well as my description, as well in the description of this video. So if you want to join, check it out. I'll see you in the next video. Always remember to stay positive and happy.